It wasn't until I got into a second year of university that I took a optional course, an elective, called Political Science 101. And Political Science 101, one of the books that we studied was Machiavelli, The Prince. Oh dear, I've got hiccups. This book should be taught in about 10th grade to everyone, mandatory course. It shouldn't be an elective optional course, second year university, because not everyone goes to university and not everyone even makes it to second year. It should be taught in 10th grade so that everyone who takes mandatory high school gets a look at Machiavelli. Machiavelli is how to rule with an iron fist over the population. It's a very old book. It's about 1500, so 500 years ago. And if people took this book in 10th grade, they would see that the world is currently being run by people who study Machiavelli. They rule you with an iron fist. Machiavelli didn't write a second book. If you're ruled by a tyrant who read my book, The Prince, what should you, the population, do about it? In all my readings, and my God, I've read a lot of books. The one that comes to mind is kind of unfortunately, um, it doesn't cut the mustard. It's one of Carlos Castaneda's books. And in Castaneda's books, it said that, well, this is a predatory universe. So if you're anyone who belongs to, the Christian universe or Muslim universe or I don't know what universe, anyone that says that, God is merciful, like the Muslims always say, merciful God, they're pleading with a God that laughs at them. God is not merciful. Jesus's statements, like um, treat others like you'd like to be treated yourself. It doesn't work with these kind of rulers. Treat them with kindness and they'll be kind back to you. No, that's not what Machiavelli's book says. Machiavelli books says um, people will not respect you if you love them. Machiavelli says be brutal to the people. And that's what we have for rulers, people who are brutal to us. I don't want to tell you anything else other than when you have no time. Oh, you do have time. You're in, well, I've been overruled, and I'm going to say instead of talking about Quantico, where you might go and take a course for military training, we're going to go not to Carlos Castaneda, because I've been there and it's really not going to work for you. But if you were going to go there, you'd have to go and find somewhere one of the sorcerers talks about the tyrant, petty tyrants, And then there's like great tyrants, but the petty tyrant lecture is what you want. But it really is not going to help you when it comes to dealing with this world situation, because it basically says if you've got a petty tyrant, it's there to teach you. And I can't remember exactly what the benefit was of a petty tyrant. Oh, I remember now. Don Juan Matus, the sorcerer, always said to Carlos Castaneda, his apprentice, you must lose self importance. So if you get a petty tyrant in your life, a tyrant is someone who abuses you every day, all the time, constantly. And if you have a petty tyrant, it will help you lose your self importance. In other words, if he wants to make you a slave, then lose your self importance and be the slave. We were taught in our 10th grade that we live in a democracy, and we have a constitution and rule of law. All high and mighty sounding ideals. But in my experience, in reality, we don't have a democracy. Because, as Donald Trump, the current US Prime Minister, said in his first election campaign, it's rigged, folks, which means it's not a democracy. It's rigged means it's not a democracy. It is what's the opposite of a democracy? A dictatorship. The United States is a dictatorship. So anyway, moving along, what else do we want to talk about when it comes to how do you deal with a dictator? If you live in America, you have the right to bear arms, and your Constitution is basically, it starts with "we the people." So I'm not American. The Constitution I live under is different. But if you're American, you have got the first statement, and you need to run with that. We the people. And it's time that you Americans remember that you have the right to bear arms. And it's time for you to get out your guns and form militias wherever you are. And it is time to depose your dictatorship. In other words, you need to have a revolution. A revolution. And you need to throw out those who oppress you. And who oppresses you the most? It is the people who say they are your government. It is the people who say, you have to work for me. Now, in my country, Canada, we don't have we the people. Our Constitution was written by a dictator. About 1979. Pierre Trudeau, the father of our current Prime Minister. So, what does it mean? It means that we've always been ruled by dictators. And unlike you in the United States, we don't have the right to bear arms. In fact, they've taken away pretty much all the guns out of the hands of the citizenry. So in Canada, um, we really can't do anything to depose the dictators. Justin Trudeau is a dictator. He's even said it in public that he wanted to suspend our parliament so he can be dictator for a longer period of time due to this trumped up COVID-19 crisis pandemic that is non-existent. This is all they needed, an excuse to put you in quarantine in your own houses, to keep you from hugging your neighbors and hugging your family members, by instilling fear in you through this simple idea. We're going to just keep telling people a big lie that there is something that is just around the corner from you. It's a germ. And then we're going to keep lying to you through the media and telling you, oh, so many other people died and they had to go on, had to be like put on ventilators. It was a horrible way to die. And we keep telling people this over and over again. This is right out of the textbook of Nazi Germany, who were experts at propaganda. The big lie. There you have it, folks. I was going to remind you that if you go onto YouTube, you can find one channel of a young man, Aaron Doughty, and he's going to teach you all about you being a immature young brat and having the world gifted to you. Tens of thousands of people will follow you, and you will teach them spiritual wisdom that you never even invented yourself. You read it out of someone else's handbook. And you will live well, and you will be admired, but you don't tell the truth. The truth is, it's never going to be anything other than Aaron Doughty telling you somebody else's words. And he said he had a spiritual awakening. No, he didn't. He is a mouthpiece for other people's work. He says it's going to expand your consciousness. No, it's not. He can't prove anything he says. He's basically a 10th grader doing a book report on books that he was told to read. Why do I bring him up? Because he's got a big following of people looking for good answers. I'm sorry, but you picked the wrong person. The person you should be following is you shouldn't be following anybody. You should be a creative being on your own right. And instead of listening to other people retread the same old ideas, you should just turn these people off and go do something creative yourself. That's all I got. It's my 15 minutes of fame. Please subscribe if you're bored and want to have me tell you more things about how things are.